Beautiful vista outside the Honda Center tonight. Sunset time in Anaheim, California here at the Four Continents Championships. And it's the rhythm dance. There's our standings after what was a thrilling rhythm dance. Some of the top teams in the world right here. And it was Madison Hubbell and Zachary Donahue who emerge as the leaders after that rhythm dance. But look at how close those numbers are. We're going to break all of that down because it really was a thrilling, a wonderful rhythm dance to watch here, and that sets us up for what will be a wonderful free dance coming up here this weekend. Hey everyone, Nick McCarville here for the Bridgestone Ice Desk. You know the drill. If you want to comment, if you want to tune in, go ahead and use that comment button below on Facebook and on YouTube. We're just having a little bit of an audio issue. There we go. Don't be afraid to use that comment button below, and we will have answers for you, because guess what? We've got the experts here. We've got Sinead Kerr, we've got Ashley Wagner, and we've got Brooke Castile. They're all here with me. There they are. And guess what? We're going to talk about some rhythm dance girls. First of all, it's an honor for me to be sitting next to the three of you, but Sinead, wow, what a great rhythm dance that was.
Yeah, and I don't think you could have gotten much closer. Those scores are so tight leading into tomorrow, and we spoke about that in the pre-show. Was how it would come down to the technical score, and I think it did a bit. I think the components were very similar for all three teams, and it's tight at the top. I thought what was interesting was that all three rhythm dances from that top three were a little different. You had Hubbell and Donahue with a strength and a power, and you had Chock and Bates with a sharpness and like really poppy. And you had Weaver and Poje with a very smooth tango. So three very different ones, which I thought was really nice to see.
Did you use a thesaurus to get through that descriptor there?
Yes, I did. I was really genning off my vocabulary before I came here.
It was perfect. And the feeling inside, Ashley Wagner, the feeling inside the arena, it was great. There was the quality of that final group especially, it was popping.
That last group was so exciting, and it was just one after the next, and everything, like you were saying, Sinead, was just so different and so unique, and I think that was so refreshing as someone who appreciates ice dance, but maybe doesn't entirely know everything about the intricacies of the sport. I loved those top three performances were just so good to me. I loved how different they were.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start with that top performance. Hubbell Donahue coming after that win at U.S. Championships in Detroit, and they come in with a smile on Maddie's face. And Brooke Castile, I mean, they came out, and this is what they've been doing all season long, so strong in this rhythm dance.
I expected nothing less from them. They get better and better every time they do this rhythm dance. And I mean, come on, they're just... They were meant to do a tango.
These
twizzles really were. And
those twizzles
were some of the best twizzles I have ever seen.
And they flew into them so fast. There was so much confidence.
And not only were they like technically so good and fast, but the detail they have added into and out of with their heads and their hands and the sharpness. Oh my God.
Her legs go on forever. She's so unapologetically sexy, and I love that about her style of skating. It's just so yummy. It's good. I love it.
There's some of those twizzles that we saw from them today for Hubbell and Donahue, who really reworked this program, both of their programs, after we saw them at the beginning of the season, Skate America, then Skate Canada. They've grown this season, Sinead.
Right, I remember talking after Skate America about them and saying that the programs they had potential, but that I was excited to see how they were at the end of the season because they weren't quite fully developed yet. Now we're seeing that, and I think it's really interesting to see the strength in them as well as the character, because we all knew that the character would fit them. I mean, we all said that tango would fit Maddie and Zach perfectly, but it's great to see the technique come out in them as well, and just that power and that finesse has really, they polished things up. They've made the program more difficult, I think, since Skate America as well. Added some transitions, and I think it's a great program for them.
And Ashley, go ahead, Brooke.
Oh no,
yeah,
it's
sure.
just interesting that the teams behind them, the two behind them, even though they're close, haven't competed all season. This is the beginning. The nationals for both of those teams was the first, and you can really see it in Hubbell and Donahue. They had the strength, they had the content of that program, but every time we see them, especially after having 6 competitions under their belt, the sharpness is there, the detail is there, with
the mileage,
strength as a base, and it's just like fire.
The other thing, actually, what I wanted to ask you is what they've done so well with that fire this season is they're not necessarily used to always being the front runner. and they've been the front runner. They're undefeated this season. They come in here as the favorites. They've handled that pretty well.
Well, I think that they were so ready for that, though. I mean, this is a team that they've been around for a very long time, and they have made it very clear their intentions on this scene, this international scene. They've been working their way up. We've seen them have a lot of success over the past few seasons. So I think for them, yes, it's new, but also to them, it's expected. They are ready for this. And I think the one thing that I really appreciate about them is that they come in so prepared. I love that. They look hungry, they look ready, and then they go out and they accomplish what they've set out to do.
Well, they did that today in the rhythm dance. It's Hubbell Donahue 81.95, but guess what? Just nipping at their skate boots is Chock Bates 81.17, just 0.78 between these two teams, and they actually skated one right after the other. And Chock Bates, this program, the way that we haven't seen them much, as Brooke mentioned, this season, but gosh, this was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this rhythm dance for them, I think that the only thing it really lacked was the mileage, at which Hubbell and Donahue had. For me, it was a sharp tango. It was different from Hubbell and Donahue's. They had some difficulty in there with the lifts and the elements. They scored well in the pattern dance section with their key points as well. And I think, again, the fact that they are so close to Hubbell and Donahue, I mean, they're basically on the same score. Going into the free dance is something that Hubbell and Donahue are going to have to look out for, because a lot of people are liking Chock and Bates' free dance. So leading into tomorrow, that's going to be a very, very tight competition.
And this is much closer than it was at Nationals just 10 days ago. So that's a big deal going into free dance that it's that close.
But
and
I'm curious, sorry, go ahead. Go.
It's interesting. Everyone I talk to who watches them who isn't a skater likes Chock and Bates better. They're a little bit more blockbuster. I think they're a little bit more relatable, where with Maddie and Zach, you have to know a little bit more about skating, maybe appreciate some of the stuff that in ice dance that is harder to see. But everyone who isn't a skater, Chock and Bates,
Yeah.
they're crazy for them.
Their lifts are just so commanding and so poppy and showy, and I feel like if you don't quite understand the difficulty and how intricate everything is that you're watching in ice dancing, they catch your eye, and that's something that makes them really special as a team. But I'm curious for your opinion. I know that Chock and Bates have not really had as much of the mileage as some of these other teams. How much of a difference does that make going out onto the ice today, competing against someone like Hubbell and Donahue, who have been competing all season?
I think it does make a difference, and Daz, I think it really does help to have that mileage under your belt. And also, you've had a chance to go out in competitions and get feedback in each competition on what is needed to make your program better. So I think that it does matter. However, Chock and Bates have done, I think they did US Nationals, they did another international event as well.
Before US Nationals,
and this is their third one. So nowhere near the experience of Hubbell and Donahue, but in the last 3 weeks have started to build a bit more of that momentum. So leading into Worlds, they're probably going to be coming at it a little bit closer to the page of everyone else.
And it's not even just not doing competition. She had a major surgery. Her recovery time was really long. So they haven't been on the ice very long. It's not just that they haven't been competing, they weren't even on the ice, and it takes a long time to build that strength back.
Yeah, another team that hasn't really been on at least competition ice very much are Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poje. They come in off of that Thank You Canada tour. They win Canadian Nationals, and then they come in here today. Shanae, first off, that dress is impeccable on her.
I mean, they're both beautiful. And
They're the most
amazing
stunning couple to look at on the ice.
They're absolutely
good.
gorgeous. And their pattern dance, interestingly, I think it was the only pattern dance that got a clap at the end from the audience. Even the audience appreciated it. It was so smooth and so fast over the ice, and just suited them perfectly. I thought their pattern dance portion of the rhythm dance was the best.
I am really good friends with both of them, and so I was talking to them before this event, and I was asking them, why are you guys still going? I mean, I think that's a fair question. They've been on the scene for a very long time. We've competed against each other, with each other for at least a decade. And they were telling me, you know, the door has really opened up on the Canadian figure skating scene, and they wanted their opportunity to shine in the spotlight with Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer taking a step back from competition. They felt like it was their time, and they're hungry. They're coming in, and they want to demand that top Canadian spot, and then potentially even that top world spot.
They're still so relevant on the world scene, like at the top, definitely. And I think it's funny because I almost sometimes expect them to plateau a little bit because they have been going for so long. But actually, I find that they do improve and they are getting better. And it's like, hey, if you're improving and you've got a shot at the top spots. Like, why not?
Well, they're so relaxed now, too. When I speak with Caitlin, she says, well, it's just, we've done a lot. We're really happy, and whatever we get out of this season, we're going to take and be happy with it. So I think that the fact that they can go and approach every competition with a goal, but also with that perspective, has been really great for them so far. I feel like they just looked so relaxed out there today.
Interesting as well that they have two of the highest level coaches working with them at the moment, Igor Spielban and Nikolai Morozov. But it was funny seeing them on the boards together. So they have two very high level coaches. I think only them could bring together two such prestigious camps to work with each other for a team.
Absolutely. I think that they're very smart, they're very resourceful, and they also are aware of their weaknesses. And so that's why they brought this team together. They're working with coaches that they feel are going to strengthen their strengths and kind of cater to their weaknesses. So I think it's working for them.
You've all toured plenty out there, but Brooke, for them doing this, an exhibition skate essentially, versus being out there on the Grand Prix, what are the pluses and minuses for them there?
Well, like Sinead said earlier, the minuses would be not getting the feedback from judges and going into competition, seeing what works and what doesn't. The positives are it's really hard to do a competitive program under the lights, without a warm-up, without practices. When you're hungry, you're not taking care of your body maybe the same way. So when you do it under those stressful situations, when you come out here and the lights are up and it's not, you know, you had a full night's sleep, it's much easier.
Yeah, I mean, as well, when you're doing shows, you know that a judge isn't focusing on you for those key points in the pattern dance, for example, so you're less likely to give it your 100% in that, and you're going to focus more on the performance aspect, which is a good thing, but then it is completely different when you come into competition and you have to then show the technical specialist those exact points to get your levels.
Well, and those are the nuances of ice dance, right, that I'm still learning and that all of you out there know that can really make the difference. And as I said, 0.8 separates 1, 2, and then you've got third place for Weaver Poje. They're only 1.4 points away from that gold medal. Barbara saying that Weaver and Poje are such a stunning ice dance team to watch. Lynn saying that she's loved watching the ice dancing. And Lynn's asking about how do I watch on TV? NBCSN, check your local listings. You also can get that figure skating pass on NBC Sports Gold. Now listen, we knew this was going to be a very close dance competition overall. In fourth place after the rhythm dance were Piper Gilles and Paul Poirier, and we talk about differing styles. They brought a whole different style, and Sinead, I would think to say that this is the strongest they've skated this rhythm dance all season.
Absolutely. We were all watching this together, and all of us said that we loved their program here today. And the rhythm dance hasn't been a strength of theirs. Their strength is their free dance. So to see them put out a performance like this and come so close to the top three, I think that's all they could be looking for out of this rhythm dance. And then they can really go forward and attack the free dance tomorrow, knowing that they're within spitting distance of the top three. I think it's great.
I absolutely love them. They may have been my favorites, honestly.
I totally agree.
I love that they can somehow put their spin even on this tango. When we talked about how all the music's the same, it kind of tends to become a boring event. This one was not, this event, but they still put their unique spin on it, and I didn't want this program to end. I was like, oh, that's it?
I think, again, the mileage with them has helped as well, because at the beginning of the season, their rhythm dance looked a little tight, and they weren't going clean always, and now that they've been able to get out there a few more times in competition, and we're finally more towards that peak part of the season, they're finally able to give it their spin on this rhythm dance as well as their free dance.
And again, I mean, obviously this is different, right? This isn't Canadian Nationals, we're at 4 continents, but the fact that they won the free dance over Weaver Poje at Nationals, that would give them a lot of confidence, and that's where we're talking about. They really excel in that free dance, so it'll be really interesting to see if we can. Let's bring back up those standings, because you've obviously got Hubbell and Donahue there in first place, but look at how tight it is within that top 4. And I just have to ask, we were talking about, I believe this is right, that the world rankings is how the groups were drawn, and so those last 4, they were in the final group, Sinead, whereas you saw for Hawaii and Baker, maybe they would have been a little bit closer, but they were in the second to last group because they don't have as strong of a world ranking going off of the world rankings from last season that carry over for the year.
Right, and sometimes that can make a difference being in that last group. As far as results go, I think that the results are as they should be. Could they have been a point or so higher? Possibly.
Sure.
But I think the top 4 were definitely the top 4 out there today.
My theme today is just throwing out random factoids that I have in my head and just seeing if they land. How am I doing?
See if they stick.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah,
I'm still thinking about the score. I thought Hawaii and Baker's score was
You thought it was
completely,
spot
but
on?
I actually thought they would have been lower than they were.
Okay.
Is that
interesting.
okay to say? I
Sure,
thought
of course.
I'm not going to say their names. I'm going to let you say it. The Canadian team, third place.
Weaver, Poje?
No, Laurence and Nikolai Sorensen.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
Ollie went to Chennai.
I'm going to give them a
Sorensen.
mention. I thought they
They were really good.
fantastic, and I thought that they were a little bit better than Hawaii and Baker.
They were
I'm
strong.
sorry.
They were a strong team,
I'm
definitely.
sorry. I'm going to
don't
say
apologize
that.
That's
for
fine.
your opinions.
Why did you think that?
Yeah,
Go
own
ahead
it,
and
you
back
got
up
it.
your
Why did
opinion.
I think that? Okay, I think that they just, their sharpness was better. I thought they weren't as boring. I'm sorry, I find that they were very interesting. I really liked their program. They had better chemistry. I thought that they reminded me of Hubbell and Donahue a little bit, actually.
Yeah, I
the
can see
strength that they
had
have.
a real strength, and I think
Yeah.
they've been with Marie-France and Patrice for a very long time, and they've honed that kind
Yes.
of that part of Marie-France and Patrice that they do so well.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that they were a very strong team, to be honest, and I think that I've seen their free nets, and it's very good too. So, you know, for that kind of 4th and 5th and 6th spots, that's also going to be a fight as well, because they want to try and do as well as they can with the World Championships coming up too. If they can sneak ahead of Hoyk and Baker in this, it's going to put them in good standing for Worlds too.
That was Laurence Fournier-Boudre
Yeah,
and
she's
Nikolai
not even gonna try.
Sorensen. They skated for Denmark last season. They're skating under the Canadian flag. So
And we tend to compare like Canada 3, US 3,
Sure.
Canada 2, you know, and they're so equal. And this is such a strong event, and I think that those two will be head-to-head for a long time coming, going against each other.
Okay, we talk about the specific teams who have strong free dances, but what in general are we going to look for? I like that in the pre-show you used freewheeling in the free dance. You allow these teams to just kind of express themselves, especially with the pattern in the rhythm dance with that tango, really let them bring out their individualities.
Well, something in the free dance that you can do a little bit more than in the rhythm dance is the lifts. And for me, Chock and Bates' lifts should be like plus 100, never mind plus 5. So they should
Be in the pair
definitely,
event.
they should definitely, for me, be getting huge scores in those lifts. And that's, I think, possibly one of Hubbell and Donahue's weaknesses. So that's somewhere where they can eke out a score ahead of Maddie and Zach. So for me, the lifts are something to look out for. You know, there's always the twists, there's always the spins, but I think as well the different personalities of the programs, and you're looking for strength and sharpness and character, and I mean all those teams are going to have that, and it's who does it better.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great event.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Ashley, earlier when we were talking about Maddie Chock is the fact that she really has worked her way back from that injury and all the challenges. She's saying now this week she feels like she's in the best shape of her life.
Well, that injury was devastating to them, first of all, and then the recovery just took so much longer than they had predicted. I think it was something like an 8-month recovery, and they thought it was just going to happen a lot faster than it really did. So they got on the ice later than they expected, and so you're coming into this event just not as prepared as you would want to be, but I mean, they're doing fantastic this season. They are making the most of all of the events that they've been entered in so far. I think they've been really smart with their approach. They have gotten 3 competitions out within essentially a month. So I think like they're really trying to squeeze the most out of these early moments in their season so that they can come in very prepared for Worlds.
And
Yeah,
she told me they're enjoying themselves also. They're not feeling the stress of that. They're having fun. They're enjoying their programs. They're in a new place. They love Montreal.
They've had that coaching change too, of course,
and they're
this
just
season,
really
yeah.
enjoying it and not feeling pressure or stress, even though it's not their ideal situation,
Well,
obviously.
they love the creativity too. I know that there is just a totally new, fresh environment that's just so inspiring for a lot of these athletes, because we've seen a lot of teams go to this training camp, and I think that it's just really refreshing for the two of them going into this, just being in a new environment.
Okay, really awesome stuff in the rhythm dance. Also, we have a really awesome crowd here in Anaheim. How are you guys feeling? Good? Really cool for you to hang out with us here at the Bridgestone Ice Desk. And what about a round of applause for these 3 wonderful athletes, my analysts here, Sinead Kerr, Ashley Wagner, and Brooke Castile. I'm just the quarterback, Nick McCarville here on Bridgestone Ice Desk. Join us here later today. Let's go ahead and check out the schedule. Ashley, tonight it's the ladies free skate. We're getting ready, Ice Desk before at 6:40 p.m. local time, and then we're going to be here actually before that final group takes the ice there. That's a special Ice Desk for us, and then come join us after it. But for now, for our whole family here in Anaheim and the Bridgestone Ice Desk, it's see you later, and thanks for joining us.